The light below the waves. Maine coast, 2016. I used to think lighthouses were peaceful places. Lonely shore, but calm. A place where a man could think. That was before I spent one winter at Raven's Crag Light, just north of Bar Harbor. If you look it up now, you'll find the same note I did before I went there. Decommissioned in 1984, remote access, uninhabited. Except it wasn't uninhabited. When the Coast Guard asked for volunteers to inspect the old structure for a possible restoration project, I jumped at the chance. I'd been working shoreline maintenance for years, mostly docks and buoys, but something about that old light tower caught me. It was built on a jagged rock island, nothing but grey stone, gulls, and the endless churn of the Atlantic. The ferry dropped me off with a week's worth of supplies and said they'd be back Friday. That first evening, the sun bled out over the water, and I understood why keepers went mad out here. The silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt listening. The light hadn't worked in decades, but the tower was still standing, a spiral staircase curling up like a bone through the middle. The air inside smelled of salt and old oil. On the top level was the lantern room, glass cracked but intact. I set up my cot, made some coffee, and started my notes for the inspection report. Everything was normal until night fell. That's when I saw the light. It wasn't from the tower. I hadn't even hooked up the generator yet. It was coming from the ocean, a pale green glow pulsing beneath the waves, about 50 yards offshore. At first, I thought it was bioluminescence, maybe plankton, or a wreck with a weak battery still burning. But it moved. It drifted closer, then stopped, right in line with the tower window. The glow lingered for a long time before slowly fading away. I told myself it was a trick of the eyes, sea light. But as I lay in the cot that night, the glass panes above began to hum. Not from wind, but vibration, deep, low, rhythmic, like something vast moving below. The next morning, I found wet footprints on the metal stairs. Bare, human, leading upward, ending at the lantern room door. I checked every inch of that tower. Nothing, no one. That night, the glow returned. Closer this time, and with it came sound, faint at first, like a whale's song filtered through static. I don't know how else to describe it, but I swear on my life, I heard a voice under the water. It said slowly, "Turn it back on." The next morning, the generator wouldn't start. The radio was dead. And out on the rocks near the shoreline, I found something I still can't explain. A rusted lantern from the 1900s, half buried in seaweed, glass cracked, still faintly glowing from inside. On the fourth night, the glow under the water changed. No longer one light, dozens. Pale shapes, moving in the dark, rising like ghosts through the surf. I pressed my face to the window and saw them more clearly, not fish, not divers. Figures, human-shaped, walking along the ocean floor with their faces turned upward, mouths open, as if trying to breathe. The voice came again, louder this time. "Turn it back on." Something inside me shifted. I found myself halfway down the tower, carrying tools I don't even remember picking up. I was rewiring the old light like it was my job, like I had to. When the lens finally flickered to life, the beam swept across the Black Sea, and every one of those figures looked up. Hundreds of pale faces, glowing in the green light. Then, one by one, they began to move toward the rocks. I ran down the stairs and slammed the door. The entire tower began to shake, water pouring through the cracks in the floor. The sea was boiling with motion, the glow spreading across the surface like fire under glass. And then the footsteps started again. Wet, slow, climbing the stairs. I remember pressing myself into the corner of the room, holding my breath as the footsteps reached the landing above me. I could see the shadow under the door, human-shaped, swaying slightly. Then came 3 knocks, and the same voice, this time inches away. "Keeper, the light is ours." When I woke, it was morning. The generator was cold, the light off. The floor was covered in seaweed, shells, and small fish gasping for air. The footprints were gone. The ferry crew found me standing on the dock, staring at the water. They said I looked half dead from exhaustion. I never told them what happened. I just said the tower was unstable and needed sealing off. They boarded it up within the month. But sometimes, when I drive the coast at night, I see it. That old tower out on the rocks, long abandoned, glass shattered, and a single green light blinking slowly from the lantern room like a heartbeat underwater. I try not to look too long, but even from the shore, I can almost hear it. That low hum, that whisper beneath the waves, calling me back to finish what I started.